Welcome back, everybody, to the Two Idiots Talk as we continue referencing what we think MLB The Show can do better or improve on. And we highlighted some things in the last two videos. I do want to thank you guys for watching. We got a decent view count on those, actually, and I was surprised at the support there. Panther, I know you and I are both happy whenever we get any number of views. So that was pretty cool. So thank you, everybody, for watching that. And we will continue today by slightly retreading some of the same ground. We took a look into the archives, into historical photos and newspaper clippings, and we pulled out a video from MLB 12. All credit on YouTube to Kevin GOHD. He put up this video that you're going to be seeing screenshots from. And this is, again, from MLB 12, the show. This is more than 10 years old, and this is what we used to have. We talked about improving the stadium in certain ways, improving concessions and seating and things that you can do for your players and ways to improve that and things that can be done. Now, a lot of these are very minor, but I just, as we talked about last time, feel like it adds so much more flavor as being a general manager of a baseball franchise, of investing into the field, into the seating, into the fans, into the franchise. And all these things do have tangible effects in the games as well. So the first screenshot that we're going to go over is the stadium updates screen. I wish we could interact with this. It would be amazing to be able to pull up MLB 12 and actually show you in real time, but we'll be working off of screenshots today. And the first thing that we see is the training facilities listed. We've already got the weight room and the pool room done. And those bars will go down as those facilities degrade over time. And so it will cost money to repair them. But the other things that are not installed, such as the aerobic room, auto pitcher, and the down into rehab facilities, the spa room, massage room, all of those things would help with recovery from injuries. So you could take a player with a 6-week injury, and if you've got great rehab facilities, that might actually bust it down to 4 weeks for you. There's real effects to investing into these things. And it's really, really cool to be able to take some of that money and say, I'm not buying big this year on players. What I'm going to do is invest in my facilities, and that's going to make the players I have better. It's a very important strategic decision as an owner, and I love having the option. Panther, what do you think on seeing these screenshots again? Because I know we talked about it, and in the moment, we couldn't find something. But seeing them now and having it on the screen, what we're talking about exactly, is very exciting for me. How are you feeling about these?
Dude, like, I watched this video, and I'll even do the thing, and I'll even link the video. I think the video is recent. He purchased 12 and was playing it on a PS3
4 months ago.
Yeah, so it's a recent video, but I'll link it in the description down below if anyone wants to check it out and watch some of the actual, going through the screens. But yeah, seeing the gameplay wasn't overly great. I'm definitely glad the game has improved gameplay wise. But damn, this options and franchise are like missing big time. Like, this would give you so much more depth, give you so many more options, give you something else to do. Mm-hmm. It's just awesome. I'm excited to talk about it. It just sucks that we know we can't do this.
Yeah, and seemingly, again, when we did talk about it originally in the last videos, it's not something that I feel like takes a tremendous amount of work. It's literally just this screen right here. And then, it's as far as coding, if this, then that, if we've got the aerobics room, it's +1 to durability or something like that, like, I don't feel like this is extremely difficult for it to be implemented. And it's very sad to me that this stuff went away.
Yeah, because if we move forward, there's it gives you a breakdown here. So here it is, stadium update, like he was playing the Astros at the time. So you see the current conditions on the right. They're all maxed out because it started the season. The season hasn't started, but it says roll the field. Rolling the field levels the playing surface and helps to reduce injuries. Yes. This is a minor effect on field condition. So unfortunately, it was a video, so I could only grab screenshots of what was on the screen. And he did have his cam up, so it did block some of the screen. So I done the best I could to get as much detail. But there was options, like I said, there, fertilize the grass, aerate the grass. There was even down below this. He scrolled right quick, but it was a quick. I didn't get a screenshot of it. It was like you can regrass the whole field. Like, it was crazy. Like, the amount of options right there, and each option does something.
Yeah.
So it was awesome to see that. I was like, well, I don't remember this particular option in the in the show. It was something I guess at the time it didn't register with me because I'm positive I played 12. I played like 10. I'm positive I played them for multiple years. There's a few years I didn't play them. But there was like a lot of early years I remember playing like multiple years in a row. So yeah, so I don't remember the field upgrades like this, but I do remember this here
Yes.
to a point. Now this is the stadium update, and this is where you can set ticket prices. And I remember you mentioning this, and as you mentioned it in the last video or the first episode when we were talking about it, it was I'm like I remember something about setting ticket prices.
Yeah.
And I was like, as soon as I see the screen, I'm like, I remember this.
Yeah.
Like, why did it go away?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can set your ticket prices, so it even tells you how many seats. It compares the prices to the rest of the league. So right now, as you had mentioned, he's playing with the Astros, and so we can see his ticket prices are pretty good in comparison to the league. It's all green arrows over to the side. Now, if he overpriced it, what you would end up seeing is that section would have less attendance and bring in less income despite being, more expensive. It's not just free money to do that. It does have an actual noticeable effect because you can overprice the fans out and they won't buy it.
Exactly.
So it's a fine line to balance, but you can squeeze a little bit out if you, increase the price, $1 or $2 on all of these things and it's still reasonable, then yeah, you can get a little bit more money from the fans that way.
Yeah, so especially too, like if I imagine if your team is performing a lot better, jacking the price up by $1 or $2 each season probably is going to just net you a few extra grand here and there, which would definitely go towards payroll and or improving other pieces of the diamond. Like so, I mean, it just makes sense to have this option. I mean, there's just so much taken out of the game.
Yeah,
like anyone who's not played a older version of the show, you have no idea what's gone.
Yeah.
Like no one seems to talk about this anymore. And I'm kind of glad we actually started talking about it. So like,
yeah,
maybe
me too, because this guy, like we mentioned, uploaded this video 4 months ago and he's got 74,000 views on it. So, obviously way more prolific than little old you and I, but yeah, I have not mentioned or rather not heard it mentioned by other people until we started doing research into this and we found this video. And that was after our first episode. Yeah. But, we did find, finally somebody had talked about it and was able to show in there. And Panther thankfully was able to grab the screenshots, but it is not widely talked about. I don't remember seeing anything on like the show's subreddit page or, anything mentioned by the developers over the recent years, anything like that. There's just nothing being done about this. It's died and it's not even being eulogized.
Whether they looked at it and they looked at like the percentage of people that use these functions, like can they track that? I have no idea. Were they tracking that in 2012? I don't know. I have no idea. But I'm just saying it's nuts that all this was here. Yeah. Look, we're going to vendors. Now it's gone. Like we can't even do this. Like look, you had options for food options, like or food stands.
Yeah.
Expensive, but it offers the widest variety of items for all your fans. All types of food and drinks are sold here. And then, like in the video, like I said, I'll link the video so that you can actually see some more actual stuff. I wasn't stealing dude's video to edit in. So I'm definitely thanking for the screenshots. But yeah, I mean, each option gives you like a different reason to why you upgrade this or average income. Like I said, and the worst thing is it's the first of the year, so there's no income of anything here. So, but as you scroll down, each stand has their own good pluses and minuses. Some have more like snacks, some have like less drinks, some have more drinks and less snacks, limited. Like there's all different types of like good and bad. Like it's not everything is just, it's all just good. Just dump all your money into everything and away you go. You actually have to pick and choose improvements. So there's a little bit of strategy behind it.
Yep.
I mean, if you're going to blow your wad on putting in 4 superfood stands at $5 million a piece, or you're going to spread it around and find some variety to try to balance an income. It just, there's so many options.
Well, and that and what it would mean too is that your budget as the GM would increase over time throughout the year. That's the other unspoken correlation here, is because when we run the franchise nowadays, we have X amount of money, and then we spend it on players, and then that money's gone. Or if we have leftover budget, it just sits there, right? But what this screen tells you is average income and season income. That means that this is going to be tallied up and added to your budget throughout the year. That is a whole nother aspect that is also completely missing nowadays. Because like I said, it's purely transactional now. You have this amount of money, you buy this player, and then it's gone. Whereas in MLB 12, you can see the average income spot here. So if we did buy the maxed out of everything and we spent, $30 million buying all of these food things, we said this year we're upgrading the freaking concessions. Hell or high water, we're going to have the best concessions in the league, and we're going to get extra money from doing that. It will pay off. So what you can see is average income, that's per game. And then the total season income would be to the right of it next. So if we buy everything and it gives us an extra $2 million or $3 million combined per game, well, shit, that pays for itself after, 10, 20, 30 games or whatever like that. But it would also increase your budget throughout the year. So if we bought a $5 million superfood stand and we're like, okay, that's all I can afford right now. But if that starts kicking back 200 grand per game or 150 grand per game, yes, it's going to take a lot to make up for that $5 million. But these do not have to be repaired or maintained cost-wise. So it is a one-time investment that will continuously net you money. And so we'll make that $5 million back from the superfood stand, whether it's this year or next year. But my point is that if I buy that for $5 million, bring my team budget down to 10, and I'm like, I don't want to go lower than that. Let's leave it there. Okay, every game now, though, between ticket prices and concessions, we start gaining money. So after a home game, let's say we brought in, $3 million in tickets and $200,000 in concessions over, a series. That's now in our budget for the team to be used.
Right, and utilized for players and or more improvements.
Yes.
Because, you could run a team that's got a budget, and we could have $40 million left in our budget after player contracts are signed. What do we do with that $40 million? It just sits there.
Yeah.
You can't do anything with it in the shows now. It just sits there. So you can't, other than, and the thing is too, is you can't even, like the sponsorships, you have to either buy them with stubs, or you have to hopefully open them in a random pack that you get rewards for. And I know you get lots more rewards if you play like Diamond Dynasty and you get the hero rewards here and there. But if you don't invest in sponsorships, you can't make extra money for your team.
Yeah.
So this here is a whole thing that allows you to make money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been stripped out of the game.
And to use that money is like the also fun thing,
Exactly. And they stripped it out of the game in favor of stubs.
Well, the great lumbering monster that is Diamond Dynasty is all that gets focused on, and that's why stubs were implemented, and that's why they've kind of in a sinister way infected the rest of the other different things. So they're enfranchised now for no reason. They're in Road to the Show, it just the whole system is corrupted right now.
Yeah. So here we get into the thing that we touched a little bit on when we talked about like training. Like when we talked about really going to the roster, going to the training screen, you tell a player to train something. We can't see pluses and minuses specifically for that training only on a lot of players. It doesn't register correctly. We went over it. It was a mess. It needs to be revamped and fixed. Here's incentive. You're going to put an auto pitcher in for $5 million, and then it gives you better options for your players for batting practice. So
yeah,
the weight room,
probably vision increase.
Yeah, so there's the pools already installed, the aerobic room, and the weight room. Well, that's the one that's highlighted. So with the weight room, buying your players a weight room will allow them to train more effectively. It will also help raise their spirits if this room is kept in top shape. And these do have conditions applied to them, so will be upkeep on them, but that's part of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, you see at the bottom, the funds on this screen, like I said, show up at $19 million. So, like, you have that money to put towards improving, and it's not like you have to go into every single player screen and say, oh, I want you to train this, or I want you to train that. As far as I'm concerned, the AI of the game should be smart enough should be like, oh, well, this is a pitcher. He shouldn't be in the fucking batting practice.
Yes.
He should be in the weight room, the aerobics, the pool. He should be utilizing stuff that works for him. Same as hitters. If there's something to do with pitching, well, why would they be doing training on pitching? They'd be training on weights, aerobics, pool, auto pitcher. They'd be training on things that relate to their positions.
Yeah.
So another thing, like I said, taken out of the game that should be there.
Absolutely.
This is another thing we pointed on, and this has come up in conversations multiple times, is about injuries in this game because it goes 1 to 2 months. Well, yeah. I know that the IL stints are MLB specific. They are 10 days for players, 12 days for pitchers minimum. Then it's 30, then it's 60. Those are actually like MLB rules. It sucks that you get that 1 to 2 months in the injury thing and not know if it's 30 or 60 days you put the guy on. That's what sucks. Yeah. It's the show, not MLB. So here, this says having a quality training room will help your players and training staff effectively rehab injuries. So you can look, they have a training room, they have an MRI room, they need a spa room and a massage room, so you can spend those money on your players. So this is the whole thing that kicks right back around to injuries, players, like having a proper facility. Like if you have a shit facility, why does anyone want to going to sign with you in a free agency? This stuff needs to come into play as signing players.
Yeah.
Because if
we developed a reputation for not keeping our players healthy, or like in the other screen that you had showed with the field, a good, well-maintained field prevents injuries. But if it's crappy and, the dirt out on the warning track is not maintained and there's rocks and shit, you will see more injuries because your field is not in top shape. You have to do that. So, yes, there's absolute effects to this, both on the player side and from the manager's side of like, this needs to be here. Like, we've got to do this for our players. They know that too.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is all coming into play. Like, I mean, when you go to sign a player at a free agency, has those little things like region and coaching. Yeah. There's
his temperature on how he feels.
Yeah, the temperature should also be one on like, I don't know how facilities or something. Yeah. So in other words, the best kept ballpark in the league. They got some of the best concessions. So they got the best fans, the stadium's full all the time. Hey, we got the best training rooms. We got the best fucking facilities to do training. We got the best stuff for recovery. Like, why would I want to play for a team that spends $4 million on that instead of playing for a team that spends $40 million on that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big thing. And do you want to play in a shit ballpark, but you're going to fucking twist your ankle just jogging you to the outfield to play an inning? Or do you want to play somewhere where every time you go out there, you feel like you can blindly run no matter where and be safe?
Yep.
Like, it's ridiculous. And another thing that I thought was neat going through, and I don't quite remember these either, but we'll touch on two pretty quick here. The TV contracts, I thought is a really cool thing. The local cable station is offering the Astros a 3-year contract for $673,000 per season, but you must have a .400 on the season for full payment. So
pretty low bar.
Yeah. So that was the only offer that was on the screen. Because I know we did scroll down, and there was no offers on the screen at the time for him when he was scrolling through right quick. So I thought it was cool. They gave options for different cable channels. So imagine if once the team improves, maybe then maybe other cable channels will be offering more money. Like the national network might offer like a massive contract once you become a good team, which I thought was a neat little thing. And a little extra income gives you incentive to play a little bit better, because you're going to make that money, which turns around to better facilities, more money for payroll. The small things are it's so fun and interesting.
And it all adds up. Like we had talked about, is that each one of these things in itself in isolation is pretty much a non-factor. Like if it was just one of these things that was present, it'd be like, oh, okay, and it'd be whatever. But the fact that each one of these things has different aspects to it, and there's half a dozen of these different options or something like that, and they all do have slight effects, bonuses or negatives if you don't maintain these things. It's just one more aspect of managers that like brings you deeper into that role and deeper into the strategy of where you want to invest that money in. What's important to you? Is it just getting as much money as possible? Well, then just upgrade concessions. Charge your seat prices up higher, But then as your players start to fall apart and they get injured, what do? You know, you've got to maintain your facilities. You have to repair these things and keep them in good shape. So you've got to spend that money at some point. You know, do you upgrade your field now? Do you just wait? Do you go with the bare minimum? You know, you can do different things and strategize in different ways, but all of it is relevant and all of it adds just one more little layer. You know, a book isn't made all at once. You got to add every page. And this is part of that.
That was a hell of an analogy, dude.
Thanks.
The analogy of the week right there. But I agree. It's like I said, and also at the first, you know, when you first set up your franchise, you have all those toggles. If you want to do this, yes. If you don't, there's a toggle to turn off stuff so
Absolutely.
that you're not forced to do it. And all they need is small graphics. Like, we'll go, and if you remember, like, it shows like the picture of the trainer's room. Like, there was a picture of an MRI room, like when he was scrolling through. There's a picture where you don't need 3D graphics and showing players in there mingling and all this other horse shit. Just screens like this with some basic stuff just to make it at least appealing to a point. It doesn't have to be another whole 800 fucking terabytes of video footage. It just needs to be nice graphics, you know, maybe have maybe as you level up, have the weight room with one weight bench, and maybe if you ever upgrade it, maybe the pitcher changes to 2 weight bench. I don't know, like just small little things just to make it a little interesting would be fine, but they don't need to go into a whole like video breakdown and a whole, you know, craziness. Like none of that. Just make it simple. So it's something more enjoyable.
Right here represents what I'd be considering the bare minimum. Is it's just text. Just text and a little bit of graphic. This is like when you're learning Photoshop, you know? This would be like your final exam is, you know, make a screen showing contracts and income and, you know, length and, you know, a little bit of text, make a little hometown graphic for that, you know, fake company there and a little bit of red and fade it over into black to the right. Like this is like a pretty good job for like, you know, a student learning Photoshop. This is not high quality and it doesn't need to be. As you're saying, like to your point, this just needs to be text and a couple images. You know, it doesn't have to be bright and flashy. No. All the other screens in the show are essentially still like this. You know, it's the blueprint of just a little bit of text and a little bit of information, some colors, and that's really it. Like our scouting screens, you know, you go to our rosters, all of it still looks pretty much the same. Yeah. And it's this level.
They just hit it with a fancier brush. That's about it.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that we're going to quickly look at is the stadium marketing. Now, these all have different requirements. Well, like I said, the screenshot is the Blue Seam homes. With Blue Seam, you'll be safer at home. You average at least 4 runs per game for full payments that season. So 2 seasons, the contract, and the income is $4 million. So if you don't average, I guess, the 4 runs per game over the season, then maybe you don't get the full payout, but you get some.
Yeah.
So then there was like other ones, each had stipulations. The one that he had looked at, it might have been Garcia's Tattoos, I think. And that's just funny. A tattoo shop, you know, it's just hilarious. And they can have fun with it. Like they don't have to be all super serious. They could be a little goofy.
Yeah.
They just make it fun. And then
it's sponsored by Casali's Hot Dogs.
Yes. Yes, very much so. Like that would be my first sponsorship I'd buy, or the first one I'd go after.
One of the things that we also talked about was creating our own.
Yeah,
that would be a great idea to include into this. Is make my own advertiser. You know, like, you know, Baker's Cruises with blackjack and hookers. You know, like, just kidding, of course. But making our own would be a really, really cool thing. And like, just like Stadium Creator, you know, if there was like also in Stadium Creator, the option to, you know, add your own concessions, and it can be simple. It doesn't need to be extensive. You know, give me 20 different graphics to choose from. Let me arrange and slide them. You know how like so many games have like making an emblem creator.
Yep.
Like just do something like that. Just make a little advertiser, you know, thing to where I can screw around with some different graphics, make my own thing, name it, and then, you know, it serves this and makes X amount of money, you know, based on how it performs, you know, whatever.
Yeah. And then like another thing too is, like I said, the each option was different requirements. Like the one that he stuck on was like the tattoo shop, and it was like as long as your ballpark is in tip top shape at the end of the season or something.
Yeah.
So some of them, one of them was like you have to make the postseason. Well, in 2012 the Astros sucked, so there was no way they're making the postseason. So there was realistic, goals to be had in your advertising to make you money instead of having to spend stubs to buy a sponsorship to get so much money per home run or so much money per strikeout or so much money per like that. Like those are neat. I get those because they were like all like there was all like sports related. They were like Spalding and all like the different bat ones, and there was a whole bunch of different ones. That's fine. Like I prefer if you had an option for like professional ball gear stuff and also some goofy hometown shit.
Yeah.
Like that's make it fun, make it interesting. And another thing I didn't get a screenshot of at the time because I didn't know quite where it would fall into the whole thing, but I thought it was weird. I don't remember it either. Was there was a one where he was traveling from Houston to play Texas, and at the time Houston was in the National League. So I don't know why he was getting asked to go to Texas because Texas has always been an American League team, correct?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I'm not that well versed into it.
But I'm positive, yeah, because it was like your travel was this far. Did you want to take a bus for this much money or a plane for this much money?
Oh.
I'm like, holy crap, I don't remember that.
I think I remember that now that you mention it. That just triggered it for me.
And I'm like, at the time when I watched him, like I was skipping through to see if there was any other different screenshots for this, and I just kept through and I was like, oh, I want to see some gameplay, right? Because he was doing a lot of simming just because he was doing like it just to show how everything works. So he was skimming through, and I was like, oh, so I just kind of stopped and was watching a random piece, and this is when it popped up. And about, do you want to pay for a bus or you want to pay for a plane? And it was like $2,000 for the bus or $30,000 for the plane or whatever. I'm like, well, that's fucking cool. But then I never thought to grab a screenshot and just let it roll. And then I skipped through and watched a little bit of more stuff on it. But
go back to the first graphic that you had shown when we first started talking, because there was a transportation option there. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about. Yes, on the bottom.
Yeah.
Transportation is under rehab facilities, and that would make sense because like we just went through all those, right? And rehab was, I think, where we ended. But transportation as the next one, yes, bus or plane, like coach or first class or whatever, those type of things. If I remember correctly, now that you mentioned it, like I said, it just blossomed back in my brain. But if I remember correctly, the transportation would affect your players' energy recovery. They're less comfortable on a bus. It sucks. You can't get much rest, right? So the recovery between games is very limited versus flying in first class or even just by plane itself is a lot more comfortable and quicker to allow them to rest more. So instead of coming into a series where you're traveling at 70% energy, if you've upgraded transportation to where they're flying and they're comfortable, now they're going to get, plus 10% recovery between games or something like that.
Yeah. So like I said, I don't remember that screen coming up in the video. Maybe I missed it, but I'm positive I watched all the screen stuff to get these screenshots. But I do remember that popping up when they went to travel somewhere and it was the two options, which I thought was neat. I mean, I don't really... I wouldn't want that to pop up as an option every time, you were traveling. I think that would be annoying as hell. But the upgrade transportation to be like, oh, well, the team bus is a basic, motor coach, but then you can purchase an upgraded bus that's this or an upgraded bus or, a plane, upgrade your plane, as accordingly. I could see that being an option as well, which would be cool. But I wouldn't want to be prompted every time your team is traveling. How did you want to travel? That'd be a little annoying. But yeah, the fact that the options update transportation, which would help your players improve, exactly. Like, buy each player their own fucking G7. There you go.
Yeah. Well, like the transportation, it would start with, of course, the coach and buggy. And then, they'd send carrier pigeons back home to their family to send messages. But you could upgrade it to the Golden Corral Gravy Greyhound, Exactly. And that's what we were working with last time and why all of our players got injured, and we left people behind. But eventually, as you buy more things, they recover better and the players are happier as well.
Exactly. So, like I said, we don't need them to spend 17 million years to make some crazy high-end graphics. We don't need a whole bunch of other shit. We just need some basic options with some realistic information, make the names of the companies a little funny. That's fine. You can have some fun with it. But yeah, be just some, even like the bare minimum is what we're seeing in these screenshots. That would be more entertaining and fun than having absolutely fucking nothing.
Yep.
And that's what we have right now, is pretty much nothing.